was a great day yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a great day today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's some pretty exciting moments in there, and I don't think that really encapsulates how much fun we actually had. Obviously, it was a long day yesterday, but we've got some fun storylines to cover today.
And we have money to give away today, which is always very fun. We have a huge prize pool. Let's take a look at how the prizes are going to shake out for each game. This first game, we're looking at the Super Smash Brothers prizes. First place will walk away with $1,000. That's a lot of control drinks you could buy, a lot of cans of Barbasol, some Oakley shades. That's a lot of smackers.
That is a lot of Barbasol.
Yeah, and we go down through second place at $500, third place at $250, and all the way down through eighth place at $22. All the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, and eighth players will get a little pocket cash to take home.
Yeah, I think the best part is honestly you're trying to spread the love. There is so many different teams and things going on, so the fact that we have as many competitors as we do, they said, obviously at the beginning yesterday, 400 plus, it's a lot being spread. They're trying to share the love to everybody they can.
Absolutely. And speaking of Smash Brothers, let's talk about Overwatch. Looks like the prize pool for Overwatch is going to be exactly the same. $1,000 for the top, $500 for the second, $250 for the third, $50 for fourth, $25 for fifth. And you know what? It's going to be the same as we go down through all four games. Rocket League the same, Valorant the same.
Not trying to make it. We're not doing rocket science here, guys. We keep it pretty simple. So
yeah.
You only have to do math one time.
Yeah.
Now, as we're looking into the matches for today, we're going to start out with the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Grand Final. So before we get into talking about that, this is the pre-show. This is the Powered by Barbasol morning. What are your predictions this morning? What do you want to start out calling today? Let's start with you, Fawn.
Well, the most interesting thing about today is I think that there are going to be so many interesting different games and different aspects that we'll have to look at as a whole, right? But I'm making the statement here. If Bay State performed with how they did yesterday in Smash, I absolutely imagine them taking it. Northwood is also very, very good contenders that we've seen throughout the other games, and I think that they have a very strong chance in Valorant today. They're pretty powerful contestants, and I think that in Overwatch and in both Overwatch and Rocket League, there'll be pretty interesting storylines as well.
I'm going to save you for last, Blue, because you had the prediction glasses yesterday, so we'll save that. What about you, Lawler?
Yeah, I think you can echo the sentiment of Northwood. They've been doing a lot of really good things throughout their collegiate program, and even with not running their full-strength roster because there is qualifiers going on in their matches, they're still finding ways to get victories and find themselves in the grand final in multiple titles. So awesome to see there. We're running it back in Smash today. We get to see Bay State and Central Florida again, so the hype that we all stood up for at the beginning of the day, we get to recreate today in a best-of-3 crew battle. So, it is going to be momentous throughout the rest of the day. So, we're kicking off with the best win possible, I think.
All right, Blue, your turn.
I think it's going to be a great day. It's Championship Sunday. Everyone's got that blood boiling inside them, the ones that are still alive, they're ready to go.
That sounds like a medical emergency.
At 2 a.m., I see Gig walking around the hotel I need food. And I'm like, you have a game tomorrow. You need to go to sleep. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. 2 a.m. So don't ask me why I was awake, but he shouldn't have been awake. And then for Valorant, we had a huge underdog come through. So we'll get to see that today. And if that comes to fruition, that could be very exciting. And then also Rocket League, there's a hot team that wasn't expected to be in the Final Four. They're streaking their way through the bracket, making some upsets.
There's some land boys that have been talking their game.
Yeah.
Very confident the fact that they're here. The Lanimals, as you've been calling them, is that team should not be where they're at right now, and I'm all for it. So, yeah, that lower bracket final match is going to be wild.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go through match by match and go with predictions. So, Lawler, who's our first match?
Starting up, we've got obviously Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is going to be, I am so ready. If you saw a discussion about the Steve yesterday and Sonic on with Sonics, first up is going to be Bay State and UCF. So, ultimately, between those two rosters, it was so close yesterday. It really was. It came down to one overhead smash. It was you're talking about, yes, Sonic's played out of his mind, but it could have easily went the other way. So to kick off with that, I can't be any happier.
Yeah, I definitely think that for one thing it is that I'm keeping in mind as well, like for Overwatch is, and I'm sure you'll go into detail about this, is that the fact that Illinois reverse swept, like just completely reverse swept Northwood in the lower portion of the bracket, which is like a big deal, right? Because it did, like, they're one of my predictions for Valorant, and we've typically seen them perform so well, like throughout this collegiate tournament, and yet here they are getting reverse swept by a team I don't think people would have expected.
Yeah, number 3 seed, but still, it was an upset nonetheless against the number 1. And then for Valorant, we've got a team. It's West Virginia, the Passion Pit Press Virginia. So West Virginia's basketball program, no matter what the score is, win or lose, for the entire game for the past like 4 years, they just full court press all the time. And the West Virginia team in the Passion Pit back there, after every single round that they're winning, they're standing up and they're screaming at their opponents. In Hawaii, which was one of the favorites to win this event, got knocked out 2-0 by Press Virginia. Okay, so, and now they get to go up against Northwood, and Northwood might be a little upset because they had to go against Hawaii, their rivals, in groups, and they lost to them, and then they didn't get their bracket rematch against them, so they might be a little hard pressed, but Press Virginia is coming for them.
Hey man, before we get to obviously all those other ones, we do have to go to Overwatch, which is going to be our second thing of the day. The cool thing about it is obviously you have your team, you had your 3-0 goggles on, like you're feeling good, but
listen,
a certain team has come back.
Yeah,
they've
Illinois
come back
State,
to get some revenge, man.
Yeah,
Speak your piece.
They're doing really good work. I mean, Gig on that team, the tank main, has had a little stint in the Overwatch League, and we didn't go too deep into Illinois State's roster. They've got some depth there. I mean, Aiko and Visions, though, for the DPS, they've got to really step up. I mean, Rupel healing Gig the entire game and Gig just swinging the hammer is not going to get that job done. Aiko and Visions are going to have to step up on the DPS side. They don't necessarily need to pop off. They just need to match the DPS duo of Lethal and Tep on the other side, which I guess is popping off because that's all they do over there for Harrisburg.
Well, I'm going to personally pop off later on because we haven't gotten to see Rocket League yet. We don't get it yet, but today we get 3 matches. We are living up to the hype. We're going to have the winner bracket, the lower bracket final, as well as the grand finals. Format's a little bit different than what we're used to as well. Normally we do best of 7s and then a bracket reset in the grand finals. But we're actually doing game advantage this time around from what I've heard in the grand finals. So there is a possibility that going into that grand final, like you have that 1 game advantage. That is usually the feeler match. So to be able to get a feeler match as well as an additional point already, you're then talking the pivotal match, which usually comes like 3rd in the series, is immediately there. So there's a lot of excitement going into that grand final of being able to give that advantage, of which makes our first match of the day for Rocket League in our 3rd game of the day, which is there's a lot of matches going on today. Yeah. But it is it's pretty important to kind of put that best foot forward. And you're talking, we've got teams that have pro-level RLCS players, the Rocket League Championship Series, which is a prolific $6 million prize pool. Like, it's wild. So some of those players compete in our collegiate system as well. Some of them are playing at qualifiers, so they're playing with their B team. Like, there is a lot of things going on. We've got a 7th seed that's going in the lower bracket final right now that is playing upset. Stockton, who's top 3 in the nation, is back. Like, Rocket League's going to be hyped today. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. I'm excited to see. I feel like we missed out on Rocket League yesterday, so
I'm
it's going to be big today.
Smash is going to wake us up, and then we're ready to go for Rocket League.
That boy is one of the most aggressive people I know on the mic, and he's been sitting there shaking and let me talk. It's been great.
Full of that energy.
Yeah.
So we talked about Super Smash Brothers, we talked about Overwatch, we talked about Rocket League. Valorant predictions?
I mean, we might have to side with this one,
Yeah, I mean, just as anecdotal evidence, right? I mean, he called them Press Virginia. I mean, here they are. I had to walk back into the green room just to go grab something. I walk past them, I hear them screaming. They're talking absolute smack. I absolutely love it. They're like, you bought 3 ops and still lost? I'm like, bro,
I think the state of West Virginia heard them. The state of West Virginia could hear them in the Passion Pit.
All right, well, I can't wait to get into the matches, and we have some team members that are going to help us with talking to the players throughout the day. We have our hosts down on the floor, Polly and Jackie. Good morning.
Good morning, Anna. That's right, I'm Jackie. I'm with Polly. We're on stage again, looking sharp. Yeah. We just matched. I know, we didn't even plan that. I do think that someone beat you in the suit game, though. I don't mean to hurt your ego a little bit.
Turtleneck?
Ooh. Oh, he's Ron Burgundy up there. Yeah, exactly. But so excited for today. Someone's taking home this trophy. It's really bright. I don't know if the light's shining in your eyes much as mine. Right. But someone's taking it home, and money on the line as well. Really excited.
That's right, 4 game titles. We have 4 of these beautiful trophies here. We're looking at the New Street Trophy right here, collect wisely. And I'm just excited to be here. The Collegiate Esports Commissioners Cup Finals is going down. But for now, we'll come back with some more action and enthusiasm like always. But for now, back up to the desk.
Thank you both. Have fun down there. As we are up here, you have to be our eyes and ears on the floor so that we can feel like we're down there in the action. We have a schedule of matches. We've kind of implied it, but we want to make sure you know exactly what to expect today. So if we could take a look at that schedule. Again, we're going to start right away with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, followed by Overwatch. And we're going to get the times up there, but are we glad we're starting with Super Smash Brothers?
Oh, yeah.
Wake up. I'm becoming biased towards it.
Yeah. Hey. No problem, bro.
I've always been, and I've posted about it. And with the fact that we get a run back, I think is really exciting. We touched on it very briefly, but you're talking about a match that really came down to the wire, and to see that innovation, I think, is what's really exciting. Not only do we have UCF on a high because they are battling through that lower bracket to make it back to this moment, but then you're also talking as our closest match that we got so far yesterday, we get to recreate in a bigger series that has more on the line and everything else. You're adding weight to a match that was already fantastic. Like, what's not to love?
You know what's better, Fawn? Before you break these teams down, because you know the roster's better than Lawler and I just want to let you know, because you weren't in the bus on the way here, because you're local, right? So you came on your own. So the casters were telling us in the bus on the way here that Javi and Jake and Sonics they drove to a local event last night in Marietta.
What?
Okay. Colluding with the enemy team?
It's called the Magic Game Night, I guess is what the locals call it. It was in Marietta.
Okay.
They had to face each other.
Last night?
Yes.
No,
in this local.
and
it gets better.
They got smacked by a 14-year-old.
Didi, the best player in Georgia, smacked him. But the good news is that Jake got revenge, kind of. Jake beat Sonics in the winners bracket finals, and then Jake faced Didi and lost. So Sonics got third, Jake got second, and a 14-year-old named Didi. Shout out to Didi out there. Looking forward to seeing them.
I want more of this hot goss before we get into the match. But right now, that's going to conclude our pre-show powered by Barbasol. Remember that in chat today, if you chat with us, your message might be shown on screen. So be sure to let us know what you're thinking and allow us to interact with you. But we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get right into this and maybe hear some more of that hot goss. So stay tuned.
Do they always have to go bigger?
Come back.
I always come back.
Barbasol, limited edition collector's cans. In stores now. Capture them all before they're gone. See the movie. Rated PG-13.
Looking for a new job? Your local McDonald's restaurants are hiring now with career development opportunities, competitive wages, paid time off, flexible schedules, and perks such as employee meal program, tuition assistance, and a free college degree program. Start building your future today at careers.mcdonalds.com. That's careers.mcdonalds.com.
Worried about your friend but don't know how to reach out?
You could say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR, it's all good. If you think you should check in, yeah, you should. Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health.
Whatever gets you talking.
Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
So you want to join the war against cancer? Well, good news, creators. Now you can fight back while you stream. Thanks to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, the world's largest nonprofit in the war against blood cancer.
I always loved video games growing up. I knew that I had a talent. I worked tirelessly to game, to stream, so I'm talking about produce content, not only to keep the fans happy, but to set the standard. Why we call him one of the best players on the game right now. So that the next kid coming up will see the work and want to push harder, and maybe even further.
Woo! I'm feeling good.
All right, I'm here with the host of the CECC, Paulie right here. Good, brother. What's going on?
Yes, so we are here with Drink Control. You know, if you guys don't know, I am a gym rat when I'm not in my esports clothes. So let me show you how to make a nice little protein shake here. They got almond milk, my favorite. Check this out. We're gonna put about 10 ounces of almond milk. We have their lovely cookies and cream meal replacement here. You know me, I'm a big boy. I need 200 grams a day, so I'm going for 2 scoops. There we go. 2 scoops. Let's shake it down and drink it down, baby. Drink Control, the official meal supplement replacement of the Collegiate Esports Commissioner's Cup. Let's see what it tastes like. You better not do me wrong. Woo! I'm feeling good. Woo! Ah. Drink Control, official meal supplement replacement of the Collegiate Esports Commissioner's Cup.
The Collegiate Esports Commissioner's Cup. This event has brought teams from all around to compete. The first of its kind. The largest to ever happen. From the West Coast to the far side of the East Coast. From amateurs to professionals. Both searching for glory and fame. And all staking claims to the $25,000 prize pool. Who is the best? The best region? The best school? The best team? That is the question. All those answers and more start now.
Welcome to the Collegiate Esports Commissioner's Cup, live from the Gateway Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Jackie Jing with Polly, and it's Championship Sunday. We are so excited. Grand finals for 4 titles. Someone's getting money, someone's getting this trophy.
Geez, Jackie, you know, normally I'm Paulie hype. I don't know if I can follow that. That was pretty hype. That was pretty hype. But there's $25,000 on the line, 4 game titles. Each trophy here presented beautiful Collegiate Esports Commissioner's Cup. This is the first ever year. We have the best colleges, teams, universities in the country, and we're going to be bringing to you the best action all day long.
Yeah, there's a lot of great titles that we're going to be covering, but we're going to be starting with Smash.
That's right. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is going to be the first game on the docket. So without further ado, let's get our Super Smash Bros. Grand Finals starting right now.
Woo! Finally, Sonics is able to take down Hobby after putting in so much work and getting all the way up to nearly 180%. Sources have really down to the wire. Longer misses, but that might be it. Outro does it here. That's the start. And Sonics and his team are going to Grand Finals.
That's right, it's time for our first grand finals of the day. It's going to be Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Bay State versus Central Florida. Both teams that we've seen do some amazing things so far. And we're going to talk about our keys to victory, sponsored by Microsoft CDW. Fawn.
Yeah.
What is the key to victory for these teams?
Well, I mean, if it's one thing, if it's one thing that's pretty important, I would have to say to not necessarily bleed early, and explore a deeper roster, because that's one of the biggest things that I saw yesterday, is that I felt like they didn't have character choices that sort of helped them prevent Sonics from going on a run, which is extremely ironic to think about, because that's all he does, right? His speed is his strength. And then take your time and matchups, and that's probably one of the biggest things I'll have to say about fighting games, Valorant, Overwatch, Rocket League, whatever it is that you may look at. It's definitely something that you have to keep in mind.
Yeah, that last one for UCF is really important, because it was what Bay State was doing extremely well. We watched a lot with Anarchy on Greninja, where it felt like, okay, he has that neutral poke. He's using his range very effectively, but even though that matchup, he could be aggressive and apply that pressure, he's just being patient. He's just sitting down. He's like, I've been here, been there, done that. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to let this come to me. And he's going to make sure that he just whittles away at the opponent. And that kind of carries through. I think a lot of it comes from that veteran experience. I mean, Sonic's, as much as Smash players hate being ranked, he is the #1 player here. Like, we saw it on display. You can't hide from it, my guy.
Right.
So I think that's carrying down to his teammates, and he's keeping them calm and collected. On the other side, I think UCF can learn from that. I think because they did get to face it, they are back in the same situation. There's a lot more matches to play. We're playing a best-of-3 instead. I do think they have that capability to say, okay, we saw exactly how we got punished by it. Let's learn from that and settle into it on our own.
We're hearing, stop Sonics from going on a run, but I mean, are there other players that we think we need to stop from going on a run? Because I feel like Central Florida has some threats.
I mean, Javi did 8-stock a team.
He did.
So
and that's literally what I was about to bring up. Like taking away 8 stocks in a crew battle is not an easy feat to do, right? And then especially like you lose 2 of your stocks as you're playing Joker against his opponent, right? And like you're assuming that like you've got it, the match is going well, and then you get bowling ball twice, right? And then that's exactly the sort of things that sort of spirals people out of control. It's what starts putting people on tilt as well. And you sort of just have to be able to ground yourself, because Villager is one of those characters where you're going to see a lot of the time he's going to try and see if he can keep you away, right? And then sort of like see how strong of a mental stack you have, right? Because he's going to be running, he's going to be keeping it back. He's not going to try and close the distance unless he knows that he's going to be able to confirm it into something bigger. And that's probably, not probably, but that is the biggest thing about Villager, is the fact that he can sort of play 2 different play styles. The keep away is what he relies on when you're looking at situations where he needs to play neutral, but when he wants to get closer, when he wants to be more in your face, that's exactly what he's going to do. And it's hard to deal with. A lot of those characters aren't really good at being able to do that.
It's also worth noting this is a rematch.
Yes,
we had
absolutely.
The winner bracket finals was Bay State versus Central Florida. Bay State came out on top. So we're going to find out if that's going to be a repeat as we go down to Polly on the floor.
All right, coming out first, here we are starting Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Coming out first, it's going to be UCF. Make some noise, University of Central Florida. And coming out second to the Collegiate Esports Commissioners Cup Super Smash Bros. Ultimate start, it's Bay State, let's go! Bay State University. All right, and casters, back up to you here as Bay State takes the floor.
Hey, thank you so much, Polly. I'm here behind the scenes. My name is Last. I'm here with Max Ketchum, and we are going to be bringing you the action for this grand finals of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. We've got 2 of the best college teams in the entire country, let alone the entire world, and we're going to see them face off in a rematch of yesterday's upper bracket finals.
Yeah, dude, I cannot wait to get into this. Of course, they did square off yesterday. It barely went to Bay State. And if you just look at those lineups in front of the desks right there, you can see 2 very different teams, right? Bay State, the favorite to take it, the #1 seed, coming on the winner's side of grand finals here, right? So these guys, they've been aggressively recruiting top players from all over the country, right? They have Sonics representing DR/Las Vegas. They have Nexus representing Southern California. They have great players from New England and from all over. But the underdogs coming from the loser side, it's going to be University of Central Florida, just kind of a grassroots Smash team, right? Accidentally recruiting some of the best players in their entire region, right? We have Jake, we have Javi Unearth, Psychic, and Nave. So it just speaks to 2 different sides of collegiate esports, right? If you have a very well-funded and organized program that's looking for the best players in the world, well, you might come into the grand finals on the winner's side. But that is not to count out UCF by any means. These guys, they are homegrown, grassroots, born and raised. Look at these guys. They are pumped. They're ready to take it. And hey, man, I think it could still go either way. Of course, this storyline has evolved since yesterday. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right, yesterday, of course, we saw the upper bracket final where these 2 teams were neck and neck the entire time. It was actually UCF that maintained a pretty strong lead throughout the entire crew battle. It started off with Nexus versus Psychic, where Psychic was able to take it, and then Psychic was able to take it a little bit farther. Anarchy came in and tried to bring it back, but Jake was still able to 2-stock him, bringing it to what I believe was a 5-3 lead for UCF. But then at the very end, Sonics was able to come in, wipe out those 5 stocks. It came all the way down to that last stock situation. Both players post 150%, and that one missed down tilt from Javi was all of the difference. Sonics was able to get that grab up throw, and that was the game. Now they're in winner's side. They have that little extra cushion, that extra set of mistakes to make, if you will, if they could. But it is still best of one, so there's not too much room for error. They're going to have to bring their A game. They're going to have to play their absolute best, or UCF is going to show them that yesterday was not a fluke.
Yeah, no doubt. And of course, we alluded to it on the analyst desk as well, but there was a local Ultimate tournament yesterday called Maji, and Jake and Sonics actually squared off in winners finals there, and the set went to Jake. So perhaps that's going to influence the performance between these two players if they should meet head-to-head in the crew battle today. In the last encounter, Sonics got the better of Jake, only losing 1 stock while taking out Jake's remaining 2. So I don't know, maybe the players have made some adjustments. Maybe Sonics hit the lab, rewatched the footage of himself losing to Jake, and has brought something new to the table. We'll see, though. Of course, it's possible that we don't even see the same head-to-head matchups at all, right? Things started off with CECC versus Nexus yesterday. Went very well for UCF, but now I see Anarchy leading off for Bay State. Okay.
Yeah, if you'll recall back to Jackie's interview of Sonics after their victory yesterday, Sonics said one of the biggest things that he thought was a problem with Bay State going into that upper bracket final was that, hey, we weren't really prepared for the lineup and the characters that they were sending in. We weren't ready to deal with that. So we're going to make some changes. We're going to change our order. We're going to change our lineup a little bit because Bay State also has a pretty deep roster. They've got 7 players here repping for them. So they have a lot of leeway in terms of counter picks, in terms of who they're going to send in when. And it looks like they're going to take full advantage of that. They were expecting maybe the Nest to lead off again. It might not be the case, but they're going to try and counter it with that slow, measured gameplay that Anarchy showed us yesterday with their Greninja.
Yeah, and that said, UCF, they do have an alternate as well. They have Nave on the Ken, and also CECC mains 2 characters. He has Palutena and Nest. So there are 2 things that could really switch up the tide of battle here, and we'll see how it's going to pan out.
And it does look like they're starting with Nave.
Wow,
Did he lock Chrom? Yeah. So starting off with Chrom Greninja, completely different than what we were expecting. You did mention that Nave could be coming in, and we're seeing Nave lead off for the team of UCF. They're playing their button warmer right now, so maybe he was just picking that Chrom to kind of get the game in his hands. They haven't had a ton of time to warm up this morning because it is early in the morning, so maybe they just need to get that sleep out of their hands so that they can get ready to go, because again, this is a very, very important match. $10,000 on the line. You do not want to be going into this with cold hands.
Yeah, 10,000 at 10:30, man. It's basically a crack of dawn and Smasher time. So I wish the best of luck to all the teams. I'm sure they woke up nice and early, got some practice reps in, but I really do like how both teams are kind of changing up their strategy here. Again, Chrom versus Greninja, that's a far cry from Falco versus Ness, and it's 2 different players on each side of things. Nave was not even fielded in the crew battle yesterday.
Right. Yesterday we did see Nave be the one who was used, kind of kept in reserve, kind of kept on the bench, and I wonder if that's an additional part of the strategy of UCF. They're using somebody that the other team has not seen before. They're using somebody that they have not had the opportunity to prepare for. That way they have, that kind of curveball thrown into the mix that they're, hey, I don't know how this person plays. I don't know how to counter them. I'm going to need to take maybe 1 or 2 stocks before I have a handle on them, if I even can get a handle on them, and get taken out in that process.
Yeah, and I'm surprised to see Nave go for the Chrom over Ken. I mean, Chrom's a very volatile character. He can be edge-guarded super easily, die at very early percents, but when he gets cooking, it's hard to stop him. And I think Ken fares very well against the likes of Falco and Greninja because of their fast-falling nature. That said, it's a little tough for him in the neutral, so I can understand him not wanting to go with his typical main, but I feel like he might be able to make a huge breakaway, maybe like a 2-stock win with the Ken. We'll see how the Chrom pans out, though. Of course, I've not seen him play this character yet, and I'm definitely keeping an open mind.
And I think that's definitely incredibly important for the Smash Knights out of University of Central Florida. They need to take that early lead like they did yesterday, because even yesterday, when they had that 5-3 stock lead, they weren't able to close it out. Sonics came in and cleaned up house, so I think they need to give themselves a little bit more padding, or rather as much padding as possible. That way they can get away with, a couple extra mistakes.
Right. I mean, that 5-stock to 3 situation did put them at last hit, right? So I feel like that's kind of the benchmark. We want to see them go into the last player, go into Sonics with 5 stocks or more remaining. And I think that could be the ticket to a bracket reset. But, of course, with such a deep roster as Bay State's, anything can happen. It looks like we do have the 3 decided, though. It looks like Sonics, Nexus, and Anarchy are going to be the 3 representatives here. So no Toxex, no one else on the roster going to be showing up here, at least for the first set. And that could definitely change if there's a reset.
That's another thing that's incredibly scary for UCF. Even if they do manage to reset the bracket, having come from loser's side, they're going to have to deal with a whole nother roster potentially in the reset of this bracket. But it does look like the Crom was just for the factor of a hand warmer. We've got Nave on the Terry today coming through against Anarchy's Greninja, and I do like this pick quite a bit. Terry, an incredibly volatile character, but you said it about Greninja. Once he gets going, he really does get going, and Greninja, a little bit on the lighter side, might not be surviving too long if some of those big damage combos come out.
Yeah, definitely mixed us up here in the booth with the Terry pick as well, but of course this is much more in line with a Ken player's character selection, right? And I do think this is pretty good against the fast fallers. Terry, Ken, all those fighting game characters actually have insane combo games.
Absolutely, we already saw it right there, the F-tilt crack shoot being a true combo at that percent, and he's going to be looking for a few more of them. We're also going to get a test of Anarchy's SDI because, again, one of the most important things in the Terry matchup is being able to SDI out of the jab power dunk confirm. Otherwise, you're guaranteed 30% or even a KO off of it every single time you get hit by jab.
Yeah, such an important combo for Terry, and if you can shut that down, then you can shut the character down. That said, these guys just about 1% away from each other, starting to grow, of course, as Anarchy continues to win neutral, keeping that corner in his control. Oh, a quick reversal, though. Okay, we're going to see Nave roll through.
I like the roll through from Nave to take stage position because he immediately goes for that shield grab. He's not hesitating in those situations, and as Terry, you do have like the lack of end lag to be able to do that. That was interesting that he tried to go for the mix-up off of it and actually gets a shield poke off of the power dunk to take the first stock of the crew battle.
Yeah, just another reason that move is so scary. If you don't angle your shield up, once it starts to whittle down, that's free damage for Terry, and in this case, a free stock for Nave here. We've got Go online as well. Let's see if that comes into play. It could be huge damage, even if it's not going to lead into a kill.
Max, Anarchy has to play so carefully in neutral here. At any moment, Nave could just pull out that Buster Wolf or that Power Geyser, and it's not going to KO quite yet, being at 4.5%, but that's not too far off of when Anarchy is going to be losing that second stock. He needs to take this now, something like a down tilt full hop fair, or anything else along those lines that Greninja has at his disposal, or else he's going to keep getting caught by things like jab Power Geyser, or jab Buster Wolf for the second stock.
That must have been the exact percent that would kill him at. You could see Greninja's momentum start to peter out as he approached the blast zone, but unfortunately, Anarchy gonna go down 1-3 here. This is huge for UCF, especially if Nave's able to hold on to this stock. If he can 3-stock him here, okay, I was gonna say, maybe we're asking for too much. Yeah.
But yeah, and the thing is, that's what's so scary about Terry against a character like Greninja. He got jabbed twice, and he died for it. Nothing else happened to that stock except the 2 jabs. Now, though, Anarchy cooking a little bit with this dash jump nair combo. Nave is going to be able to escape with the quick jump of his own, getting the F-tilt out to also stuff out Anarchy's nair, doing his best to just build up as much extra credit as possible, trying to get that lead secured for UCF before Sonics or Nexus make their way out.
Even if Anarchy goes down here, I think the key objective is just get him down to the last stock. Nave, if you don't take care of business against this man, when he's north of 100%, your stock is as good as gone.
Jab power dunk coming through once again, 89% and only 7 away from go for Terry. Anarchy needs this KO now, but he doesn't find it. The spot dodge avoids the down tilt as well. Roll behind, he's looking for a jab there again because pretty much anything into a go move will KO. That's the jab, but he jumps out just barely in time.
Yeah, if he had gone for a second jab into Buster Wolf, that would have been everything right there. Oh my god, slipping by even with the autocorrect jab coming into play. Okay, Anarchy, it's do or die for you right now. Oh, and
he jumped into it! He jumped into it. Anarchy escaped from certain death and then jumped right back into it. That is the most unfortunate extra jump I've seen. And Nave just shrugging his shoulders going, hey, we take those.
Maybe just trying to mash very quickly to SDI out of the jab power dunk. Maybe jump to get a punish afterward, but no. Nave actually going for the charge rising tackle, finds the last kill of the game there, and UCF is going to be up 8 stocks to 6 now.
That is very reminiscent of their lead yesterday in the crew battle. We're going to see it again on the Barbasol instant replay. First off that shield poke, and then the double jab stock. This is what I was excited to see. Jab Power Geyser, then down tilt, jab, down tilt, jab, Buster Wolf! Bye-bye, Greninja. Going to be able to take 2 stocks in such quick fashion. Anarchy was just on the back foot for the entire duration of that game. And watch this again.
Oh, so tragic. Hey, maybe Anarchy plays with tap jump on. And he was trying to SDI the...
He could have been trying to
power
SDI
dunk, yeah.
up and out and ended up with tap jump. That would have been incredibly unfortunate, but UCF, as we say, takes those.
I would not blame them for that whatsoever. Now we see a little team meeting here between the UCF guys. They're just trying to figure out, hey, depending on who comes in next, this is your strategy. But of course, the ball is in Bay State's court. They have the chance to send in whoever they want right now for the situation. I mean, Sonics might have to come out early. We have a Terry with 2 stocks intact.
Sonics does have a lot of experience in the Terry matchup, has the ability to kind of quickly evaporate a character like that, because Terry, again, not the strongest of recoveries, especially that rising tackle going always above the ledge before being able to snap to it. Sonics has this little-known thing called F-Smash that just absolutely destroys a Terry in that situation, and that's not even to mention being able to carry him deep off stage with something like Spin Charge. Terry will struggle to recover in those scenarios, and yeah, you're just gone.
Yeah, you also get super outpaced, right? If Sonics decides he wants to ice out Nave, he can do that as well. But it looks like we're going to get Nexus stepping up to the plate here. Falco versus Terry. I don't know. This is kind of a risky proposition, if you ask me last. You can get pieced up very quickly. You thought Greninja died quickly to 2 jabs with Go. Yeah, I mean, Falco, it's just going to happen to him all the same.
Right. This matchup is basically going to be a toss of the coin to see, hey, who wins neutral, who wins the game, because either one of these characters are fully capable of blowing the other one up on a moment's notice. We were talking about the rising tackle going above ledge and being punishable by Sonic's F-Smash. Well, it's also punishable by things like Falco Dare to be able to take the stock early, or if Falco just gets a long juggle, Terry has very limited resources in the air to be able to escape that. He has 1 crack shoot or 1 burning knuckle, 1 jump, 1 air dodge. Once those things are extinguished, it's Falco's playtime. He's not going to let you get back to the stage.
Yeah, and with the pretty limited airspeed of a character like Terry, can be really hard to get down. Falco is just as much a combo machine as his opponent will be in this game. So it really comes down to who knows the matchup better. And I think both Falco and Terry, they're in that like high tier range, but they're pretty underplayed.
Yeah, but I would say that I would give the edge to Nexus in terms of sheer matchup knowledge here. I don't know if there are any like super high level Falcos down in Florida or specifically in Central Florida, but Polonian is, you're right actually. So maybe we do have a much better shot with Nave knowing this matchup well, but I was going to point out Kless over in SoCal, a frequent opponent of Nexus, definitely has his stripes in this matchup.
Yeah, I think both of them are walking into this knowing exactly what's going on, just based on who's available to them to play, right? That said, don't know exactly how many times those players have met the other ones in bracket, right? Kless and Polonian, respectively. But that said, this is going to be a great match. I mean, Nexus is one of those players. He's been at it for a long time. He's a very long-time veteran of the game. Yep, some of my first majors, Nexus was present, and now he's really started to find his footing in Ultimate. Like, he's always been a solid player, but this is the game where he's really started to come out and show what he's made of. So, sticking with Falco from Smash 4, by the way, has certainly paid off back when that character was pretty underwhelming. And I think last what you said about the edge guards is really going to come into play. Nave can opt to go for the uncharged rising tackle, which at the very end does have some ledge snap frames. But if you have to go for the full charge, and if the Falco player waits out the last hitbox, it could just be easy dunks.
And I'm also pretty sure even if they do go for that uncharged variation to try and snap to ledge, there's one, the potential of a trump bear, or the potential of a runoff bear. Either one of those two things can just completely invalidate Terry, especially if you're in that high pressure situation, you're not really thinking about preparing to tech, you're not in that frame of mind, and it's very difficult to get those high value techs off. It could be the undoing of Nave, but it does sound like we are about ready to get into this next game. I heard the Falco walk-in come through, so we should be getting into this very shortly. And I'm also curious, Max, as to what the stage is going to be for this one, because one of the major things we saw yesterday was the stage counter pick being a huge factor as to who was going to be able to take this out. We saw Yoshi's Story come out a bunch. We saw Town and City come out a bunch. Depending on which one Nexus is feeling, it's like, hey, do I want to kill you off the top or do I want to kill you off the side? We could see either one of those two, or we could see an even bigger mix-up of something like Smashville if he wants to rush him down and smother him with less space available to Terry to escape.
Yeah, I think as the meta develops for Ultimate, stage counter picks are becoming a bit more polar than they used to be. You know, when the game was less figured out, people would just go to where they feel comfortable. But now that matchups are starting to become a bit more solved, the terrain is going to matter a lot. Okay, it will be Town and City, so you're going to die very early off the side of the screen. That's the key thing to keep in mind here. Off the top, not so much.
Crack shooting in early on, that might have been a major mistake for Nave, as Nexus is going to take this for all it's worth. 77% all the way into the Nair, up off the top, and he goes for the falling fair to try and KO off the side. But You took 89% because you tried to jump in with a crack shoot. That is unfortunate, and then the up tilt bear makes itself known. Nexus brings this to a one-stock differential between the two teams, and if he keeps this up, having been completely untouched so far, this might just be what Bay State needs to make sure the lead does not get away from them.
Yeah, not quite a touch of death, but a 0 to death nonetheless. Great start for Nexus and Bay State here. Oh no, and he gets spiked coming off the ledge, reading the ledge hop aerial right there. Wow, insane. And of course, no double jump to speak of when he's coming back like that. Hold on. Nave, are you about to turn it up? If he takes a second stock here, which is very possible, then I think we're looking at a bracket reset no matter how you slice it.
And look at that spacing on Falco's landing nair. Nave knows exactly what he's doing to space around that. Just that slight stutter step backwards to make sure that Nexus would not be able to catch him. Now he's ledge trapping once again. He does overextend with that burning knuckle and might pay the price, but no, the air dodge is perfectly timed and he gets back onto the stage. Air dodge is out as well to avoid the dare, and now he's got the shield pressure once again. That might be the stock. No, good DI by Nexus.
Insane that he survived that, and of course on Town and City you do die a little bit earlier, but just barely clinging to life. Okay, Nexus, you need to put a cap on this stock immediately, and no! We see Nave take 2 more stocks. The Terry coming alive. Where was he in Winners Finals yesterday?
Nave already guaranteeing himself the most stocks taken for Bay State, against Bay State rather, with 5 secured throughout the first 2 games. Now going down to Nexus, but only 1 stock remaining on him. Either Jake or Javi could come in and just evaporate that final stock and continue to solidify this lead.
Yeah, and it's an interesting decision they have to make here, right? Do you send in Jake and then run back Javi versus Sonics as the closers? Or do you throw Javi in right now in a matchup that I would say is probably not all that great for Villager, but it's only 1 stock, and then whittle away at Sonics and then have Jake come in to close the deal? He, again, did beat him at the Maji local yesterday. So we could see really 1 of 2 roads walked by UCF at this point, and I think it's a big decision you have to make here.
I personally, if I was the one shot calling for UCF, I would probably save Jake as the anchor just because
Agreed.
Steve has that longevity in this game to be able to just hold on to stocks for as long as possible compared to Villager being a little bit more lightweight. But there's also the thought process of let's send in Jake to soften them up as much as possible, hold on to those stocks as much as possible, and then Javi can come in and clean house afterward. But it does look like they are going to be anchoring with Jake as Javi steps up to the plate, a 6-4 lead in his pocket secured by his teammate Nave.
I see what you did there. Villager does have deep pockets. I actually think Villager's heavier than Steve, by the way, so we could see both of these characters die fairly early. But that said, Javi, confident in being able to take this 1 stock, and also confident in being able to put a dent into Sonics' life force here.
I'm going to be getting that brief hand warmer in before going up against Nexus. You definitely need those hand warmers before fighting Falco just to make sure that your SDI and DI is on point, escaping those multi-hits, escaping those combos, because otherwise you're not going to have a fun time.
Yeah, and even if you do SDI super optimally, Falco's moves connect pretty reliably too. And of course his air drift comes into play and can keep you in there in that multi-hit mix. So we'll see exactly how well each of these players knows the matchup. I mean, again, CFL does have Polonian available for Falco practice. Where is Nexus learning the Villager matchup from, though?
If it's anybody, I would say it's Bobby Wasabi, who recently moved down to SoCal and has been playing in locals there, but like he hasn't been there very long. I don't know if he's been at the same locals as Nexus. It's like, again, where do you learn Villager at the highest level? It's not a common character. It's not an easy matchup to play either, but I do think that it is pretty heavily Falco favored, just specifically because Villager is heavily reliant on projectiles, both in neutral and in advantage, and Falco has that frame 1 reflector at his disposal, especially if Javi tries to get maybe a little bit cheeky and goes for a tree play on the ledge. That ledge drop full hop down B is going to send that tree right back where it came from, and you don't really have a good time if you get hit in the face with your own tree.
No, not at all. You'll probably die at like 20, maybe even 0%, but I don't know. I feel like Javi probably just won't afford that opportunity to Nexus, and he's going to keep it as reserved as possible, fight with the melee attacks as much as you can. But, of course, Villager, half of his moves are projectiles, so you don't really have a choice in the matter half the time. And even to get your Lloyd Rocket set up to control the neutral, it can go off the rails real quick. That said, if you pocket a reflected Lloyd Rocket and you hit Falco with it, he'll explode.
Mm-hmm. He will just evaporate because those damage multipliers are definitely no joke. But in this next game, we are going to be going straight to Small Battlefield, which an interesting choice from the Villager counterpick. Probably wants to give Nexus less space to get those setups and those long distance carry combos. But at least off the bat, pretty even in terms of percent.
Now, last we did say the benchmark for UCF to win this is 5 stocks minimum going into Sonics, right? And Javi, he can afford to lose a stock here, but if he cleans it up right now without dying, we're looking at a really good chance at a reset.
Keep in mind, Javi was the one who brought Sonics almost all the way down to his, well, last hit. He was not able to close it out, but he came very close, closer than we've seen anybody else so far in the CECC. So if anybody can soften Sonics up before their anchor of Jake comes through, it's definitely him. He just has to get to Sonics as healthy as possible. Nexus is, of course, going to be able to make it back to the stage after that, but a lesser character would have been done there.
Yeah, Javi taking the low road underneath Battlefield. Uh-oh, up tilt to back air, almost sealing the deal on that stock. It is dangerously close here, of course. Just 0.1% between these two.
I like how Javi tried to run with the Lloyd Rocket, expecting Nexus to opt to run away instead of going to the skies for that, but it wasn't quite successful as Nexus was also expecting it. The slow recovery into the air dodge from Javi is also going to be able to get him away. No, it won't. He can't actually make it all the way around the world, so that first stock is seeded by a little bit of a mistake by Javi trying to circumvent the Nexus ledge trap.
Yeah, just barely running out of steam on the balloons right there. Okay, and Nexus starting to build some good damage. We could very well see him take another stock if he lands the right confirms. Up tilt to up air, that's a good start. Now build maybe 30 more %, and up tilt back air is a kill.
I need to see Javi go for more of these ledge traps, especially on the long-lasting Firebird. When it's rising up, you have the opportunity to go out there and counter him, but we're not going to have the opportunity to see that. And Max, your prophecy has come to pass. UCF is going to be heading towards Sonic with a lead of 5-3. This is the bare minimum, as we called it, so it's not like it's the absolute best case scenario. The best case scenario would be a healthy, fresh Javi, or maybe even like somehow a Nave going in with 1 stock remaining, but this is the next best thing.
Yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. Of course, Sonics has definitely shown the ability to beat Javi hand-to-hand, right? He took 3 stocks with only 2 yesterday, you know, only losing 1, truly, in that head-to-head matchup. But then, as long as Javi's able to get 1 off of Sonics, I feel like Jake can do it, right? He can take 2. He already proved yesterday that he can take a set in hand-to-hand combat, 3 stocks to 3. So with the odds slightly tilted in his favor, I'm kind of liking UCF here.
Yeah, we saw it in the Barbasol instant replay as well. Javi's positioning was phenomenal against Nexus's landings. We only saw 1 of those attempts KO because, of course, Nexus only had 1 stock going into that. But Javi was looking for that the entire time. He was just, hey, you're going to neutral air dodge to the stage eventually because that's one of your primary defensive tools. And I'm going to be patient. I'm just going to wait because I know you only have so many places you can land with that air drift. And one of these times, you're going to land right in my KO move, the down tilt. And that is going to put us up against your anchor player. Did a fantastic job setting that up, and now Sonics is going to be stepping up to the plate representing both Bay State and the Dominican Republic all the way here from the Caribbean, looking to, well, clutch up for Bay State.
So cool seeing international players make it out, especially in the collegiate environment, man. I feel like a lot of these schools coming in, they're all just US-based or based in Canada as well. But yeah, big shout-outs to Sonics doing it for his country, as well as the state of Nevada. Recent transplant to Las Vegas, of course, and yeah, he's repping 3 regions at once, basically.
Absolutely, and you know, you love to see it. It's 3 regions, 3 times as much support from the fans when you're trying to run through a bracket like this one. You see Jake waiting in the wings back there, trying to keep his hands warm, looking up at the camera because he heard me say his name.
Shout out to Jake, man. That's the homie. These guys are all super chill, by the way. Like, at least the ones that I've had one-on-one conversations with or have known over the years. Javi, back in Smash 4, I believe, was Fuji, right? Was his old tag. Yeah, one of the best villagers in the business. And honestly, I would not be surprised if he's the best villager in all of the U.S. at this point. Really one of the only remaining ones.
Really, one of the only remaining ones. We don't have a lot of like the Smash 4 holdovers like Captain Awesome or anybody along those lines. We do still have, like I mentioned, Bobby Wasabi, originally from New England, moved over towards SoCal recently. Yep. We also have Pokelam representing Tri-State, I believe from Westchester. But like,
I mentioned him like 3 times yesterday. I forgot about
They're
him.
not here. We've got Javi, and Sonics is going to have to deal with it.
Right. All right. So the best Sonic in the world, one of the best players out there, #1 in Dominican Republic.
Number 1 in Vegas.
Yeah, right, yeah. #1 in a lot of things, and his school #1 seed in this bracket. So we'll see if underdogs UCF are going to be able to take this to a true finals and knock their opponents into the loser's bracket with them.
And you see that trophy up in front of them. They know what they're playing for. They're sitting at those tables, maybe getting a little bit distracted during the matches going, oh, I want that trophy. trophy. I want it so bad, alongside that $10,000 prize pot that's split between some of the top teams in this bracket. They know exactly what the stakes are. Some of them have folded under the pressure. We went from 16 teams down to 2. But of course, these 2 did not. They're here for a reason, and we're getting into this potential final match rather, on Pokemon Stadium 2, the same stage that we saw between Sonics and Javi yesterday.
It's got to be a little tantalizing to see the Commissioner's Cup glimmering under the spotlight right in front of these guys. They're both so close to it. Of course, Sonics once again has to make a 5-stock run in order to claim it here in the first set of grants and see if it happens. Pokemon Stadium 2, yet again, the stage that these 2 meet on. This is exactly where they played yesterday when it was Javi counterpicking Sonics.
And the interesting thing that we do have to mention is that, hey, this is something different than Sonics is used to being able to play. His normal play style of, if he gets a lead and needs to, being able to camp the timer does not exist in crew battles. There is no timer. He cannot go for the timeout. If he camps, he's only just wasting time. He's waiting, but wasting time in this situation is viable because it does allow you to take a breath, compose yourself, but it doesn't act as a win condition as it usually does in his normal game.
And you can also frustrate your opponent by doing that, right? Even if you know that Sonics can never time you out, it's still annoying to play against that, right? It does wear on the player's mental. Javi, once again, taking kind of a beating in the early stages of this match, but surviving miraculously. This is deja vu from yesterday last. I feel like the match flowed exactly like this. However, the stock counts are switched, and Jake is waiting in the wings for UCF. Once again, Javi's goal here, take 1 stock off Sonics minimum.
Right, if you take 1 stock off, Sonics has been softened up for Jake to come in, whereas if Sonics manages to get this 3 stock to 2 victory, well, he's fresh against Jake. He has those VODs from last night at the Maji game night to be able to study that matchup, to be able to prepare for it, and Jake might not be able to get the win the same that he did yesterday.
All right, you see Javi looking for those bowling balls, throwing the forward smash out to meet Spin Dash in case Sonics lets it rip early. Not going to give him that, though. This is one of the most patient players in the game, and his character, of course, complements that very well.
We saw Javi make fantastic use of those up smashes to punish impatient players during one of the earlier crew battles yesterday that we had on stream, but here, Sonic's not going to be falling for that, not going to be caught jumping in aggressively against that up smash being charged. Javi going low to the ground, but actually manages to snap to ledge and get the invincibility before the homing attack connects. So just thanking his lucky stars that the invincibility saved his life.
Sonics, as good as he is at playing that patient game, he can also rush you down when it matters, and he just knows exactly how much delay there is between Villager putting the Lloyd... Oh, no! What a narrow miss, just a slight spacing error from Javi that could have been a huge stock, and instead he's going to die to the Spin Dash straight up!
Spin Dash on that top platform, especially at 191% with that little bit of rage Sonics has at his disposal, is going to be enough to KO, but now he has to do it again, and this time with a little bit less wiggle room. Coming back in, getting that spin charge on the shield. No, Javi just confidently holding shield against Sonics in neutral, not going to let him get away with crossing him up over and over and eventually finding the chink in his armor.
Okay, pressuring the shield with slingshots and the Lloyd Rocket simultaneously, but Sonics completely unfazed by it. Again, content to just kind of hang back, wait for Javi to make a mistake here. Oh, wants to challenge him aggressively here. You can see Javi feeling that temptation to approach. It's so risky against a character like Sonic. Look how much damage he gets for 1 neutral win.
Right, this is what you were talking about, him being able to blow you off if you approach aggressively. Javi going to be able to tech there, but still taking quite a bit of damage in the process of returning, but that is UCF's win con right there. Javi manages to take 1 stock. Can he do 1 more?
The UCF supporters in the crowd erupting for that one. They know just as well as we do last that this was kind of the win condition for their team.
Sonic's getting that spin charge fair in again, pushing Javi off stage. Javi's just kind of taking a victory lap at this point, saying, hey, can I get a little bit more? Getting the grab off of the spin dash as well, into the dare, putting him on ledge, looking to drop the bowling ball. It's not going to be enough to KO. Sonics has a little bit more weight than that behind him, but 1 more of those mistakes will be deadly.
And I love the counterplay to homing attack that Javi went for there, just trying to roll back, get a huge whiff punish. There's so much lag.
Speaking of huge whip punishes, Javi gets the parry off the parry, and that is a 2nd stock gone.
93% after the hit? Oh, excuse me? That's the earliest I've ever seen that move kill.
Rage.
Yeah, rage, and of course it's gotten a bit of a knockback improvement since the last Smash game. Oh, and the back air is going to connect, but Sonics, I don't know how good he's feeling about that one, because Jake can just come in with 3 full healthy stocks and find any kill move to get this one done with.
That's a lot of diamonds you have to deal with, and with Sonic being a little bit on the lighter side, one back air at around 70-80%, depending on the stage, is going to be curtains. Let's watch this again in the Barbasol instant replay. This is the first stock that he managed to take out. Sonic's accidentally homing attacking in the wrong direction, but then being able to recover with the spin dash to KO, and then almost closing out the match with a 3-stock right here. One tech from Javi changed everything, gave him that secondary opportunity to get back onto stage, gets the down tilt to KO, and then says, let me get another.
I feel like every single stock between Javi and Sonics has gone exactly like this, right? Sonics will get a ton of damage off in the early stages, even get some edge guards, but nothing too decisive, nothing that's going to kill Javi, right? And then as soon as he gets his feet planted on solid ground, he goes to work, this time at the price of 2 stocks from Sonics and Bay State. Here it is, 3-1 in UCF's favor. Folks, we are staring down the barrel of a bracket reset.
It almost feels like watching a combo character play against a heavyweight, right? It's like that, you just have to pay the tax early on. You have to let them get that big damage on you before you have the opportunity to, well, play the game, right? You don't get to play sub 90%, but once you get to that point, hey, this is just like being at 0. I just don't have to get hit.
Man, it is such a different set than we saw yesterday. Of course, still a 2-stock lead in UCF's favor, but instead of 5-3, it's 3-1, meaning that Bay State is down to their last breath here.
And while it is the same deficit, 2 stocks between the two of them, it feels like a whole different ball game, because this is, we're on our last breath, we're bleeding out, we've got that music playing in the background when you get to low HP in Pokemon. It's just, oh no, this is panic-inducing.
That said, if I'm UCF, I'm also thinking about what's to come after this, right? You put a cap on this 1 stock, cool, feel good for a second, but the work is not done. And of course, to get the lion's share of that $10,000, you are going to have to win 1 more set after this. And that's going to give Bay State plenty of time to adapt, to change their strategy. I think UCF came in hot with a rogue counter pick with the Terry, right? And it paid off in spades. But is that going to be the case next time? Who knows?
You might also have to deal with a very, very angry Sonics asking to open up the new crew battle if they go for that reset. And I've seen what Sonics looks like when he's coming from a loser's side, and he's never all that happy about it. It's a force to be reckoned with, and I don't know what UCF's strategy is going to be. They might have to open up with Jake just to deal with that.
Now, I don't want to count Sonics out either. There is certainly the potential for the reverse 3-stock. Yep, but these are 2 of the finest players in the entire game, both with some insane results at recent majors. Jake, of course, 3rd place at Glitch. Sonics, a top 8 at Pound just 2 weeks ago. We were both there for our birthday weekends, you know?
Vibing out at the Xanadu venue in Laurel, Maryland, having a great time with both of these fantastic players. But here we are at the Gateway Center Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Both of these teams looking to take home the Commissioner's Cup. Only one of them can go home with it, and I think both of them won it quite badly.
Look at that placement right there. That's beautiful. Logo in front of the logo. And guys, like you said, only one team's getting this, and maybe they split it into thirds. Maybe they see a welder, you know, and just divide it.
No.
No, I don't think so.
Please do not rend the trophy asunder.
Hey, man, they all got to share in it equally, right?
True. They do have that prize pot split. I wonder if they'll split the trophy in conjunction with the prize pot as well.
If UCF wins, they got to give the whole thing to Navi, to be honest, or Nave. Because
5 stocks to open up the crew battle. Yeah, that's like, again, in a crew battle with 9 stocks, it sounds like basic math, but we do have to harp on it that, hey, you've taken the lion's share of stocks away from these guys. You've given your team a huge lead to work with, and then Javi coming in and doing that to Sonics with only 1 stock remaining, like, hello?
Yeah, UCF is certainly looking like a new team. And hey, they did bring a new roster, technically, one of their 3 players being changed from yesterday. Whereas, did Bay State play these exact 3 last time? No, they played Toxics, right?
Indeed, yeah. Yep. So they're going to be getting into this game right now. Jake and Sonics having exchanged the customary fist bump before what is absolutely guaranteed this time to be the final match of our grand finals, but definitely could not be the final match of this entire bracket.
All right, let's see. Either Sonics just turns it up to 15 right here and wins, or we get another set right after this. Let's find out.
Look at this setup. Jake is immediately suspecting that Sonics is going to approach from underneath with Spin Dash, and Jake just goes, I dare you, do it.
Right, I've got an anvil ready for you. And, of course, standing on the block and farming resources as well. Jake trying to get as much iron as possible. Use those mine carts to escape the corner. Use those anvils to escape the air. And all he has to do is just gradually chip away at the stock. There's no rush to land a kill move here for Jake.
Right, and that's also playing heavy on the resources that Steve has on offer. He's already got a diamond in pocket, and Sonics is going to have to deal with a lot more of them if he plans on taking out 3 stocks from Jake. But he's already having quite the difficulty dealing with Jake's wall setups, trying to break through those with down tilt so he can run underneath, and using the reverse minecart to discourage Sonics from dipping underneath.
Now, for those of you guys who have keen eyes on Twitter, that setup with the minecart in between the 2 blocks in the corner of Pokemon Stadium 2 might look a little bit familiar. That did happen yesterday in their bracket meeting, leading to a really early kill on Sonics.
Jake is already going for that trademark Jake Smash, the dash back spot dodge F Smash coming through, and one more of those will decide this grand final. 88% doesn't seem like a lot with the KO power that Steve has at his disposal. It's 180.
I love Jake challenging the spin dash with Elytra as well, just going for that flank. Normally Sonic can get a ton of damage off of spin dash into aerials. But man, last we were talking about how some characters like Lucario and Sephiroth are great for making comebacks in crew battles or like leading off with. So if you win the match, you'll go into the next one with a stock deficit. Steve, I think the exact opposite. He is one of the best closers in the game. You go into a set with 3 stocks, all you do is farm those resources, and Jake gonna deliver on that bracket reset. UCF sending Bay State to losers bracket with them.
That is a bracket reset, 3-0 being the score from UCF, getting a little bit of redemption for what happened yesterday, that last stock situation between Javi and Sonics, and now they have that shot at the Commissioner's Cup, that shot at the lion's share of the 10K prize pot. Only thing that stands between them and that is winning the rematch.
And it's, of course, much easier said than done, right? You could just say, oh, well, they just did it right now, so why not run it exactly back? No, Bay State has 7 players available. Of course, UCF does have an alternate. They have Psychic, who they would probably play in the place of Navi if they just, or Nave, I keep saying that, play too much Zelda.
Too much Ocarina. That's us popping off in the Barbasol instant replay when, I believe that was the replay of Anarchy getting caught by the double jump up B.
I swear that's not on purpose, guys. It's not for the camera. Either way, wow, that stuffing out the ledge hop there with the down air, absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, these sets, or these matches rather, were so good between these two. You can tell that they both deserve to be here in the grand finals. Such a good match for each other.
This one more time too, Javi being able to get the down tilt to open up Sonics' first stock. He had done his job. He was fine. He had already secured what UCF would have needed, and then instead continued to get more. He wanted more, he got more.
I still can't believe how early that up smash killed. Anyone want to check the setup for underdog boost?
Please don't.
I'll just say it.
Please don't.
You can't fire me. It's
Not
too late.
again.
We're already in grand finals,
True.
right?
This is grand finals. Well, actually, grand finals reset now. We're not in grand finals anymore.
Yep. True finals, as they call it in my neck of the woods. Shoutouts to the House of 3000 team, of course, for coining that term, which is now becoming a bit of a standard. And here we have a team meeting / production meeting with UCF, trying to figure out their starter, of course, strategizing for the next set. Bay State likely doing the same just off camera. And guys, this is so exciting because we don't know who's coming in, who's going to start.
And look, the rest of Bay State is here. We saw on stage during that first match, there were 3 of them. They had already picked their lineup. The only question was the order that they were going to be coming through in. Now, all 7 players right there, they're ready to go. All of them major threats.
Right, and you can also tell the difference between the programs at play here, right? There's a coach, a team manager on the side of Bay State, as well as 3 extra players compared to UCF. And this is just the guys, just the team doing it on their own, right?
A ragtag underdog sports movie here where the prep kids get taken down by the kids from the boonies.
Exactly, it's Globo Gym versus the Average Joes.
Exactly.
For any boomers out there. All right, well, if you can dodge a bowling ball, you can dodge an anvil.
You can dodge a Jake Smash.
Yeah. All right, we will see, folks, exactly how this is going to pan out. Of course, there's a lot on the line here, a lot of cash, a lot of pride. And these teams are going to take their time figuring it out, and credit to them for doing so. I mean, you got to take this seriously. Prep for this like you would prep for a final exam.
Why don't we make a couple of predictions in the meantime at what these lineups are going to be looking at? Let's go for the easy one first, the team with quite a few less players. Let's talk about UCF's lineup. If I am UCF, I'm probably leading off with Javi. He's been the X factor. He's been the crazy stock taker and the stock tank for these guys throughout this entire bracket. So I'm going to lead off with him and hope he does what Javi do, pop off. then I'm probably going into either Psychic or Nave again just to continue to loosen up and maybe expand that lead. And then, of course, Jake to anchor. You were talking about how strong Steve is in that anchor position, and I could not agree more, Max. But over to Bay State, what are you thinking about for them?
Well, actually, I'm kind of thinking differently on UCF just to start us off here. Yeah, if I'm UCF, I'm probably going to lead with either Nave or Psychic because you need the combined force of Javi and Jake to take Sonics out, right? But I do see Jake sitting at the setup right now. They might actually be leading with him. That would be a surprise move for sure.
Well, this is what I talked about back during the initial set. I was like, if Sonics loses this, they might lead Sonics, and UCF will have to send in Jake to counter. It's a very angry top player coming and trying to regain a little bit of that honor from losing that initial set.
Yeah, and that said, I don't know if Bay State has declared a starter yet, so maybe Jake is just sitting down to keep his hands warm, get a couple practice rounds in. But, of course, both teams are going to double blind their starter, so no one's going to say, okay, I see Jake sitting down, like, let's throw this guy in to counter him. No, of course, it is going to be like both players reveal or both teams reveal at the same time.
A little bit of trickery at play. Maybe they have Jake sit down, so they send in Sonics to counter, and then it's actually Javi going first, and who knows?
Yeah, I mean, if Bay State does take that gamble and throw Sonics in first, then I definitely agree with you. Javi would be a great starter, but I don't know. Something tells me that they're still going to save him for last or maybe the middle if things start to get out of hand. But if I'm Bay State, I'm probably bringing Sonics, Toxex, and Anarchy. Nexus just unfortunately has met some tragic ends to his stocks in both of the meetings between UCF and Bay State. So might be time for him to take a rest.
He started off that match against Nave so incredibly strong, taking that first stock, and then he got caught jumping from ledge and died at, what was it, 24% for it? Like, he was playing well, but you can't be seeding stocks in a crew battle like that. In 1v1s, it's fine. You've got multiple games. You've got multiple sets throughout the bracket, especially if it's grand finals and there's a reset. But in a crew battle, you've got 3. Those are your money, your lifeline. And if you throw away one at 24% to something like a ledge jump, it's not good.
Yeah, just a really hard read on the part of Nave right there, you know. So it's not going to happen every single time, but the fact that it's happened a couple times to Nexus now might just be too high risk to play Falco in a crew battle like this. You know, having an exploitable recovery and, you know, of course your offense is so insane, but this is a game of stocks.
Cannon.
Right, exactly.
Glass cannons don't serve well in situations where if you break, you're done.
Oh, I see a player who has yet to take the sticks at all sitting down here with the Bay State coach. Okay.
I'm going to see who this is stepping up to the plate. I don't know the face, but it does look like Jake has been declared for UCF, so we're going to see at least a Steve.
Right. And hey, if Jake goes off to an insane start here, winning with 2 or 3 stocks, they're going to be forced to put Sonics in, and then UCF will respond with Javi, and then it's just going to be the battle of the anchors that aren't the anchors typically.
Absolutely. So we're going to be getting into this very, very shortly. I would imagine Jake doesn't need too much of a hand warmer after that performance in the initial round of grand finals, but well, their opponent definitely does. So we're going to be getting into this match very shortly. And again, the stage is going to be incredibly important as well. PS2 is always good for Steve, but if you leave Final Destination open, they're going to go there and use the shovel for all it's worth. That rarely used tool.
Yeah, just going to farm it up and get as many valuable resources as possible. All right, so we have our mystery player once again making their debut on the stream here. We'll find out very shortly. And again, guys, it's you know, coming back from a quarantine online era, there are a lot of players out there who we've heard of, we know their tags, but matching the face to it is a different task.
It is actually going to be Floppe. We just got word from production. Again, another player who know the name, not the face. That is the We Fit trainer, also from SoCal. Pulling up into the bracket. And We Fit Trainer versus Steve is going to be an interesting matchup, specifically because it's another one of those characters that can watch Steve mining for resources and say, stop doing that, I've got a soccer ball.
Right, and I've got my own resources to farm as well, right? Getting a charge on that Sun Salutation, which can be very decisive in taking stocks. So we'll see. We Fit versus Steve, not a matchup I would expect to see here. Of course, We Fit, a pretty rare character despite being pretty good.
I've seen it a few times up in your neck of the woods with Tri-State with John Numbers facing off against D-Dog a couple of times, but never these two players in this situation in a crew battle. It's definitely going to be a new experience for all of those involved.
All right, so yet again, a SoCal representative stepping up to the plate for Bay State. UCF, all they have are the CFL boys. So
it's that like worldwide recruiting the best of the best versus, hey, these guys happen to live here and they're all good players.
You're right. It's that ragtag group of protagonists stepping up against the evil crime syndicate, so to speak. I'm just kidding, of course.
I wouldn't call Bay State an evil crime syndicate, but
you know,
it's the metaphor.
Yeah, they're getting the best in the business, and credit to them, right? I would love to see more schools kind of walk that route, really invest in their Smash programs, because this is one of the most popular esports in the world, right? It can be a destination school for players of that game, and there are so many Smashers out there just itching to go to a school with a strong program.
Absolutely. I remember Sonics was absolutely ecstatic to be able to attend Bay State from completely outside of the country and be able to compete with these guys at the highest level, as well as studying his major of a choice. But it does seem to be that we are finally ready to get into this grand finals reset. These first two players facing off. Jake, the Steve, facing off against Flappe, the Wii Fit trainer.
Yeah, and Flappe making his debut here on the stage, right? I think that's just like a huge amount of pressure that he might not be ready for. But you know what? If you are ready for it, this is a good time to show it. Love and let go. What a great tag that is. And of course, Jake F smash, his signature move. We talked about it before, the run back, spot dodge, F smash.
How many players in this game have an entire move named after them? Not too many of them, but the Jake smash is just that prolific.
Yeah, it is, man. Really making a name for himself during the online era of Ultimate, but Jake has certainly shown that he's got what it takes to win offline as well. Let's see if he can do it here against Bay State College. These guys have been absolutely demolishing the competition until this morning.
And that was an interesting interaction between the soccer ball header and the minecart. We saw that, yes, it did clank with minecart's invincibility, but because the soccer ball stayed active after that, it still served as an interruption. So if Flappe is just continuously using those soccer balls to interrupt both mining and minecarting, which Jake will do out of the corner when pressure is put on him, it's very, very strong in this matchup. Not to mention the fact that Flappe is able to reset backwards, make deep breathing active, and become one of the scariest characters in the game in the process.
Oh, Jake really looking for the spike right there. That would have been absolutely huge, but it's actually Flappe with a slight lead until, of course, the forward smash comes through. The signature move yet again. And you can see Jake setting the walls up. Could be a little bit of roller coaster tycoon action. Oh, he was ready to tech his own block too if it came to it. Yep.
And that's one of the most recent techs that we've seen coming out that a lot of Steves have been using, most notably Akola over in Japan. Setting up those blocks not in front of you as a shield, but behind you as a little bit of a padded wall to bounce off of should your opponent get a little bit too aggressive. Jake making fantastic use of it, having already taken one stock against Flappe and having the potential to take another one if he's careful enough to wait out this deep breathing, but he is not, as that deep breathing up tilt does do it for him.
Yep, the backside of that going to send Jake packing off the top of the screen. You can see him once again setting the walls up, mining for resources. He wants to play with Diamond for as much of this match as possible. Of course, he's got it right now, but in the event that it runs out of durability, he's going to need another one. Oh, there it is. Okay, Jake primed for success here, but the question is, can you win with two stocks? I feel like he really does need that because Sonics is probably coming in next.
Look at that drift from Flappe to be able to avoid the initial anvil and then everything else that Jake threw at him off stage. He's able to get back up, but only for a little bit as Jake quickly finds that back air off of the jump. Throwing down the TNT, but no detonation, and look at these drag down nairs from Flappe.
Oh, and just crashes right into him with the minecart. Okay, Jake locked and loaded with the diamond. Decent amount of iron here. Of course, going to build up some stone walls as well. Extra hard to break through.
Well, that's the interesting thing about PS2 is if you're off in those corners of the stage, you only mine iron, and that's why and how Jake has so much of this iron to use for these minecarts, because he's in that corner, not by Flappe forcing him there, he's there by choice, and what was that?
Did I read that correctly? Was that 30 damage off the minecart straight up? Oh, and going for a ride as well. Jake about to take him down if possible. No. Okay, we're going to see Flappe hang on here for just a little bit longer.
What I think happened there with the minecart, Max, now that I'm like able to calm down and think about it, I think it also reflected the soccer ball back, so it was the additional damage from the soccer ball hitting him. Now 83%. This is enough for a KO with Diamond if Jake finds the right hit, and he's certainly looking for it. Tries for the two frame with the down smash, reads the neutral get up, but Flappe is tricky enough to get away, but he's immediately sent off stage once more.
Okay, putting the pressure plate down with the TNT. Wii Fit so good at stalling out on the ledge, though. Not going to fall victim to that one. And both characters down to their last breath of the current stock. I think it's equally important for both of them here. Oh no, taken down, and is he too slow to break out? No, Wii Fit with an excellent recovery, but Steve has one as well.
Yes, Both of them able to make it back to the stage, and Floppe with the bear out of shield, able to take down Jake. You'll notice he had no resources there. In that situation, he wanted to minecart out of disadvantage and found himself completely incapable of doing so. Floppe takes advantage of that by getting the KO and bringing him down to only 1 stock. This is the perfect situation to set up your teammates with, even if you can't quite close it out on Jake.
For sure, and Floppe still showing some signs of life here. Of course, WeFit can take you down very early with the spikes he's got available to him.
Double wall from Jake here, though. Floppe doesn't really have the tools to deal with it, so he's a little bit more content than some other characters to let Jake get those extra resources. You can only get so much out of it after all. Once you already do have Diamond, you're only really hurting your own pickaxe's health.
Oh, and once again, dragged all the way down by the minecart, but WeFit very much able to make it back from the depths. Let's see, Jake, what's the lead trap going to be? We're going to see the TNT down smash into air dodge into down smash, but still nothing mixing Floppe up here. Oh, and he goes all the way down, but he's still alive, and so is Jake. Oh my God, some insane offstage exchanges here, but the soccer ball actually going to lag the back air, keep the hitbox active, and Jake barely takes that one away. It was honestly a lot closer than it should have been.
I was worried because at that point, once Floppe had been rinsed and repeated with the minecart off stage enough times, he had reached 150%. That means full rage, and a WeFit trainer with both full rage and also deep breathing means Jake could have died at the percent he was at. A good back air off stage, a good F smash, a good bury into F smash, all of which could have spelled the end of the Steve main from Central Florida.
Now let's keep in mind that UCF started with their typical anchor here, right? I think the ask is not just 3 stocks, and it might not even just be 4 stocks. I think Jake's got to take 5 to really set UCF up into a good position to close this one out. Now, the question is, because Jake only has 1 stock remaining, are they going to throw Sonics in right now? Or are they going to say, you know what, I think one of our other players can take this stock, maybe only lose 1, or maybe not lose any in the process, and then we still save Sonics for last, have our airtight anchor to close things off.
It's always a risk to send in anybody against a Steve with 1 stock because it's still Steve, so in that situation, Sonics could end up dropping a couple extra stocks that maybe he's not looking to, but it does look like it is Sonics stepping up to the plate, so it seems that Bay State's strategy is going to be to have Sonics do this with minimal damage and then just run havoc upon UCF.
Sonics, again, super patient player. This guy almost never feels the pressure, right? You don't see this guy crack very often, and I think knowing that he only has to take 1 here is going to embody that style to the fullest. If Jake gets a little bit flustered, gets a little bit too eager to start hitting his opponent here, it could go off the rails very quickly. So
I think the opposite could also be true, though, for Jake. He's got nothing to lose. He's already kind of served his purpose, at least. Not maybe to the fullest extent, but he has indeed served his purpose. So take 1 stock, take 2. Does it matter? Not really. So I can play with reckless abandon.
Right, I think, you know, Jake taking 3 stocks, obviously he's played up to par, but being the anchor of the team, you really want that to equal 3 stocks off of their anchor. And we'll see if he's even able to get 1 here, going right to the left side of the stage, setting some walls up. Oh, a random grab out of nowhere. Probably not the intended input, but we're going to see him throw some minecarts out from underneath the block, farm for resources if he can. Yep.
And look at that. Jake is the one on the defensive here, does not want to let Sonics get away with anything. Because again, Sonics has that extra wiggle room to play with. He's got 3 stocks here, even if he doesn't want to use all of them. He still can take those smaller risks and say, hey, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But Jake here, he's got the minimum amount of mistakes you can have as a Smash player. 1 stock.
Exactly. And he's got all the resources in the world now, tons of iron, but Sonics, he's just going to wait it out, wait for Jake to get impatient.
Look out for the back air.
Oh. Uh-oh. That forward smash could have been everything. Steve, of course, such a light character, would have sent him to his death.
I can't believe Sonics just attempted to get a grab out of minecart there. That is next level bold.
Yeah, right? That's not a typical challenge by any means. Okay, Jake finally going to get the diamond, but of course, he is on his last breath already, 115% and counting. Sonics with the ledge trap going on here. You need to find some kind of key moment to get a diamond forward smash, and it's not going to happen. Sonics only taking 42%. The stocks are even, but 1 team has their anchor remaining with 3 stocks, and 1 doesn't have it at all.
Yeah, that spin charge nair being the bread and butter coming through for Sonics to be able to take that out. And I want to harp on it. I don't think it'll be caught in the Barbasol replay because it was a little bit too far away from the KO. But towards the end there, Sonics got that spin charge nair off stage and then immediately abandoned ship. He was like, I'm getting out of here because I know Jake will back air out of disadvantage. It's bread and butter. And because why not? It's usually safe. It'll usually find that hit. Sonics knew better, immediately escaped that situation, did not want to be caught by that bear and maybe get a stray kill off of it. So, was able to reset on stage, find that spin charge nair off the top for the KO, and as a result, he's brought this to a perfectly even affair in the crew battle.
And the mark of a truly great player is knowing when to cash out on your advantage state and on your combos, right? If you know that something not guaranteed is to follow, well, sometimes just getting your feet planted on the ground is even better. You get all your resources back, you get positional advantage. Sonic's doing that and showing exactly why he's one of the best in the business.
Especially for a character like Sonic, stage control is incredibly important, and especially against a character like Steve. You'll recall back to that match we saw for the vast majority of it, Jake did not have resources. That does not happen very often. We don't see Jake running on empty when it comes to his iron, his stone, his gold, his diamonds. It just does not happen except when he's against a player of Sonic's caliber. Sonics just takes complete and total control over the stage and says, you want to mine? You're going to have to pay the tax. I'm not going to let you get away with this for free, and when you only have one stock remaining, that tax might be a little bit too heavy. Those returns, the IRS was not kind to Jake.
No, absolutely not. Going to take his income down a couple brackets for sure. And we have CECC actually stepping in now, not Nave, who, of course, went on a great run in the first meeting between these two teams, but they're trying to keep the rosters fresh, right? However, you're going up against Sonics. This is a big ask. Yeah, you have to, I would say, if CECC doesn't take 2 here, things might be looking really, really rough for UCF.
Now, at least in the early quarantine era, one of the banes of Sonic's existence was, of course, Spencer, Send, Best Nest, whatever you want to call him, had an overwhelmingly winning record on him using that Nest, but that was on Wi-Fi, and Sonics has also improved vastly in the matchup since then. So they could be looking to check him a little bit on, hey, do you remember what you studied? You took that test a couple months ago, but do you still recall the material, or am I going to be able to kind of cheese a couple of extra stocks out of you here?
Now, I'm also curious what the level of experience against Sonic is for CECC. Of course, there was Diz, who played DDD in Sonic and Piranha Plant, mostly Piranha Plant, though, in Central Florida for a while, but I believe he's returned home to SFL. So I don't even think he's available local practice for these guys anymore. And again, Sonic, despite being, in my opinion, one of the best characters in the entire game,
it's difficult.
He's a little tough to play, and he's definitely hard to come by in a local scene. So CECC, definitely a tall task ahead of him, but I mean, this team made it to grand finals for a reason. They're all very strong players, right? We talk about Javi and Jake a lot because, of course, you know, they're very recognized, ranked players with a lot of results, but CECC and Nave have done more than deliver. They've gone above and beyond for their team.
Right, back in the original crew battle, well, not the original, the grand final initially that we saw a couple of minutes ago, it was Nave that was the MVP. He wasn't the ranked threat that we were talking about. The desk up top did not have him on their radar, but instead it is going to be the Palu coming through from Nave, or not, excuse me, from CECC, who I was talking to a little bit yesterday. I was like, he was like, why did you say I was a Ness main? And I was like, well, that's because that's what it says on your profile. And he was like, well, I stopped playing Ness a week ago. And I was like, well.
A week ago? Oh, come on, man. Your tag has PSI in it. You're a Ness player. That said, Palutena. Yeah, maybe. Palutena, though, a very solid pick across the board. She's got few matchups that really give her a lot of trouble. I would say Sonic is close to even. You know, it's not really particularly one-sided for either of them.
Who doesn't Palu go even with? That's the question.
Right, yeah. She's very Wolf-esque in that regard, so to speak. Two of the strongest characters in the game, mostly just because they don't really lose any matchups, even if they don't hard counter most of the cast.
Right, they're not incredibly strong in any one given situation, but they're never weak, ever. They are good, not amazing, but because they're so good across the entire board, that's what makes them great. This time, though, it is seeming that CECC is unable to find any purchase on the stage, with Sonics applying constant pressure both at the ledge and in center stage, finding that F-tilt on the neutral get up as well, looking to punish the jump with the bear, but instead just ceding stage control, at least temporarily, before he immediately flies back in and says, hey, I own this Pokeball, you cannot step foot on it.
All right, and very reminiscent of Javi versus Sonics. We see Psychic kind of getting beaten up in the early stages of the match, but he started to make a comeback until that very risky dash attack. It's going to be an easy up smash out of shield for Sonics. Very dominant stock, taking exactly 42 on that one stock as well, just like he did against Jake.
And what I believe it for the first time, we see Bay State with a lead against UCF. They have not had a lead even in upper bracket finals, in grand finals, but now finally in this reset when both teams are on their second player in the 3v3 roster, they have a lead, and Sonic's going to be looking to extend it as much as humanly possible. Only at 56%, now having lapped Psychic entirely in terms of percent, going to be looking for that high back air off of the spring. Not able to find it just yet, but you know he's always looking for something along those lines.
And last, this being the first lead of the meetings between these players, or these teams rather, it does not bode well for UCF at all. They've pretty much relied on Sonics going down and being forced to make a comeback against them as their key to victory. It almost worked out the first time, did work out the second time, but now the odds are just certainly against them.
F-throw once again to regain stage control. I think maybe that Psychic has less than a whole minute on stage this entire match. He's been just juggled and edge guarded and ledge trapped and put through the ringer, suffice it to say, throughout the entirety of this, not allowed a single moment of rest. Even here, when he's on stage, he's forced to be in shield or forced to be throwing out those short hop fairs as a defensive option. He doesn't have the ability to play his own game. Instead, he's stuck playing Sonics's, and that's not a fun game to play.
All right, Psychic, if you can get one stock here, there is the potential for Javi to bring this one back and win it all for UCF. That said, it's a pretty big ask here.
Tall task.
Yeah. Will he be able to pull it off is the question. Of course, you can get it done with like an up air at the top of the screen. Any of Palutena's smash attacks, well, at this percent, really only forward smash will do it. But if you're able to find one of those key hits, then there's still some hope for UCF.
Spin dash in. Sonic's more than content to play this patient game, waiting for Psychic to overcommit to make that mistake. Gets the back throw though, and this is the first time we've seen Psychic in a position to ledge trap. Sonics gets the bear on the rollback too. This could be exactly what he needs. Right here, no, does not get the RAR for the bear, instead misses out on the fair, but then finds it and secures the stock. This is what he needed, and this, if he can take one more stock, he can set Javi up to potentially be the clutch god that they need.
Yeah, and even just taking this one here is actually pretty huge. I feel like Javi can maybe, losing one stock, take two from Sonics again, just like he did last time. But, I don't know. Yet again, a tall task. So, yeah, this 1 week old Palutena, though, is this what you want to bring against one of the best players in the world?
To be fair, this is not playing like a 1 week old Palutena. This looks like somebody who has multitudes of experience both at the top and like local level with the character, but you can't be caught dash attacking out of the corner like that. Sonics has those long, long arms, and he's willing to throw them right in your face.
Honestly, not a terrible showing from Psychic either way, though. Whether the Palutena is, you know, kind of like a distant secondary that's been in the picture for a long time and is now his main, or if he just started playing her very recently when he dropped Ness, still showed up. Taking a stock off Sonics, I'm gonna be real, I don't know if I could do that. So, yeah, he's carved out a decent amount of damage on Sonics for Javi. Let's see if he's able to clean things up. Now the tides are turned, though, 5-3 in Bay State's favor.
The interesting thing, though, is that Sonics, being as good of a player as he is, as high caliber of a player as he is, he's not going to let those same mix-ups, those same cheese tactics work on him again. He's going to be looking for them. He's going to be ready for them. And I don't know if Javi's going to be able to make lightning strike the same place twice. It's entirely possible, but not probable.
Okay, it all comes down to this. The last stand for UCF. It could all end here. If Sonics beats Javi 3 stocks to 2, which he did yesterday, then it's done. But if Javi is able to even hang on to 1 stock, he could still reverse 3 stock to anchor for Bay State and win it all for his team. There's so many questions waiting to be answered. But of course, Javi sitting down in the chair, selecting his tag. We're almost off to the races last.
Very, very soon we will be getting into what could be the final game of this entire bracket. We've said that a couple of times because it's been potentially true each and every time, but now, this time, Sonics with 2 stocks very well could take out Javi with 3, as he did during the upper bracket finals yesterday. We could see a repeat of history there, or we could see a repeat of history where Javi is able to take it out over Sonics. Either one is possible because either one has happened already.
Right. And, hey man, we are once again seeing this stacked team full of final bosses in the form of Bay State coming with so much firepower here. But the underdogs, UCF, they've managed to take it this far and this close. They were a hair's distance away from winning winners finals yesterday. They actually delivered on it in the grand final, set 1 today. But in the reset, are they just running out of steam? Has Bay State figured something out? Is the player swap what contributed to their success? Honestly, I'm also not very sure about UCF starting Jake. I think it was a big gamble to say, hey, you know what? If they start Sonics, this is the right play. But what are the chances of that actually happening? I would say pretty low.
And then Flappe came up huge, being able to take not 1 but 2 stocks away from Jake, setting up Sonics to just, as a completely healthy character, take out Jake's final stock without too much bleeding. Now, he's just, again, like I said beforehand, running amok among the UCF team. But I do want to talk a little bit about what you brought up a second ago, where like each and every one of these players is a final boss. They are all phenomenal, all locally ranked, all nationally ranked, all internationally ranked even. But they would be the star of the show on another team. Here, they're just another one in the lineup.
Right, and I think having that depth of talent in the roster here for Bay State, that's what's gotten them this far. That's why they're on the winner's side of the grand finals heading into today. Of course, showing a little bit of a slip up in the first set, but UCF, they're not to be trifled with either. The homegrown team, you know, the boys, you know, from Central Florida, of course, not too far away from here in Atlanta. It's certainly motivating to watch them pull it off this far at least.
And we're right back to the same old song and dance we've seen 3 times now, counting this one between Sonics and Javi, where Javi has to pay that heavy tax early on in the game, has to get up to 60-70% before, okay, now those bread and butters at low percent no longer work, and I can actually play. This is great.
And this time, it's very reminiscent of the winners finals. 3 stocks for Javi, 2 stocks for Sonics. But, of course, there's another player in the back for Bay State. So we'll see if Javi can not only rewrite the script and actually win this encounter with these odds, but also has to go on and sweep the anchor.
Right, they've got Toxex, Anarchy, Tony Pajamas, Nexus, so many big killers here. We were talking about those final bosses, and those are all certainly examples of such. If Javi shows any form of weakness, they'll just come in there and finish it off, whatever Sonics could not do. And that's even given the fact that Sonics might just do this himself without need of an anchor.
Exactly. We could crown our CECC 2022 champions right here in this match last. Will it happen? I don't know. Oh, no, double jump. Okay, but this time Javi has learned from his mistakes, knowing that Sonic sometimes likes to go for that high recovery and then either air dodge or drift onto the stage. Unfortunately, though, gonna meet his end to that back air. And I think the margin for error on the side of UCF is pretty much run dry at this point. 2 stocks to 3, I'd say, that's their real ticket to victory here.
Is almost entirely gone. Javi needs to come up bigger than he has ever before to be able to clutch this out for his team and take them to the Collegiate Esports Commissioners Cup Championship with Sonics. But he's looking to make sure that does not happen. It's not going to be an SD. He still had his double jump, but you can't have a Sonic set without an SD is what I like to say.
I think even beyond the SD, just having all that time to get the bowling ball ready was really scary there. Javi, of course, a real sniper with the bowling ball, but unfortunately just going to throw it out a little bit too late.
Look at the immediate recognition and then the cancel of the spin dash by Sonics there. He saw that Javi was going to be setting up with that high up smash and then immediately got out of dodge.
Dude, did you see the ledge regrab from Sonics there? He barely got away with it because Javi's tree pushed him back and couldn't drop the bowling ball over the ledge. Super unfortunate, but hey, that is the curse of unit collision in this game. It's such a prominent factor in Ultimate. Sonic's really working down the second stock from Javi already. And the edge guard, yes, managing to thread the needle, get underneath the balloons. And we are 1 stock away from crowning Bay State as your CECC 2022 champions.
It's still possible. It's still doable. Javi still could be the hero that UCF needs, but is looking less and less likely by the second. With every hit that Sonics gets, it gets farther away. Their dream seems to shrink off into the horizon. Now spin dash in into the fair, putting Javi onto the ledge, but then immediately ceding control. Then air comes through and allows Javi to get the first setup that he's gotten in a while, but he misses with the bowling ball. It is just enough to push Sonics out, though, so that the air dodge will not allow him to return to stage. 1 stock apiece, 41.2% on Javi. Meanwhile, 0, a fresh stock on Sonics, and he's looking to do everything with it.
All right, we saw Javi with momentum in the last meeting between these two in the first set of grand finals. It actually went his way quite handily, so if he's able to make a huge breakaway like this, we can at least see the anchor come out for Bay State. Oh!
Nair the shield looking to punish that. He gets the berry, but Sonics with an amazing mash gets out in time. Now he's caught in the jab, but he's already established the fact that he's willing to challenge these things, and now Javi cannot be as blazing with them anymore.
All right, Javi coming to life here, 67-73, still within reach for either player. Of course, you have another entire player to work through if you win this, if you're Javi.
looking for those landing fares to just set something up, but now clanking out spin dash with the nair out of shield. He's discovered it recently, but it's been serving him well. Falling back onto the stage, Javi gets the ledge grab. Sonics does not actually punish the getup. Javi now has the tree up to also interrupt his progress. He's looking for the exit. He's looking for that one critical connection to close this all out and go up against Bay State's anchor, but Sonics, he's looking to take all the glory for himself.
Oh, and he might do just that. No, it's only a sour spot in the neutral air. Javi, 112%. Will he be able to hit the perfect line and make this comeback?
Stepping back, setting up that Lloyd Rocket, looking for that up smash, but getting beat out by Sonics' Bear. Now going underneath the stage, barely able to drift back up after the interruption on the balloons. The pop was not enough for Sonics. He's going to have to find some other way to close this out, and I think he wants the F smash if you can catch on to that.
Yeah, I think he's showing his cards just a little bit, but Javi also showing some nerves. You saw that reverse forward tilt on the platform. Oh no, jabs in the corner. This could be a shield grab. No, he just rolls through. Sonics ends it, and Bay State College are your Collegiate Esports Commissioners Cup 2022 Grand Champions.
Congratulations to them. Sonics, after a little bit of a disappointing performance in Grand Finals, comes through in a big way during the reset, puts the team on his back, and takes stock after stock after stock for them. Shaking hands with the rest of his team because they know it would have been a much more difficult path if he had not done all of that for them.
Man, and big shoutouts to Floppe taking the first 2 stocks off of Jake, paving the way for Sonics to literally solo the entire roster. He eliminated 3 players in a row. Let's take a look at some of these Barbasol replays as well. That forward tilt right there, such a decisive moment for Floppe and for Bay State, as is that backer out of shield, pushing Jake to his very last stock. And you could see the emotion on his face as he got KO'd right there. Of course, puts a cap on it very quickly after with the back air, but I think that was just the beginning of the end. The start with Jake, I think a bit ill-advised, I'm not gonna lie.
It was not what they needed to be able to take this out once more against Bay State, but if you'll recall back to our friends up on the desk when they were talking about the keys to victory, one of the most critical ones for UCF was shut Sonics down.
Yep.
They did that during the first set. They did that actually pretty well back during the upper bracket final, but here, he took 7 stocks. He went absolutely crazy, running over the UCF roster without a care in the world, did not show any emotion whatsoever, was just calm, cool, collected, and brought his team that victory here at the Collegiate Esports Commissioners Cup. But, ladies and gentlemen, after that reset, that is going to do it here for myself and Max Ketchum here on Smash. We're going to throw it back up towards our friends on the desk because we know they'll have a lot to say about this.
I think we do. Thank you both so much. Excellent casting. What a fun match. Especially Fawn over here in the middle has been yelling quite a bit.
Absolutely.
There's so much to talk about here because we did have that bracket reset. So let's rewind. Let's go to the first set of matches. And I specifically want to talk about when you were saying Javi is so smart. Javi is so smart. Tell us about that.
So once again, I still think the best set of this entire thing has definitely been the match that we saw with Javi versus Sonics, right? I was so impressed with both of their adaptability. I was impressed with how they were actually running throughout the matchup as well. There were so many times like where when we first got into the match, it was a reverse stock situation from yesterday. Yesterday, Sonics was the one with 2, Javi with 3. Today, it was Javi with 2, Sonics with 3, right? And for both of them to play absolutely out of their minds, the best it is that I've seen them play, at least in this tournament, is insanity. The tech underneath and to the parry down smash, to the up smash, the fire, they were playing out of their minds, right? There's a lot of times where I saw that Sonics was actually trying to be very, very aggressive, try and go in, and set the pace. But the adaptability, like I said, was insane. There were a lot of times where Javi was trying to sort of like play back, see if he could fight from a zone, but then they actually started to do a couple of other things as well, where they sort of just tried to play, like it was like they were playing like 3D chess, right? Like they're trying to match and mix up the moves as best as it is that they can, and I think that definitely has to be that was like the best set.
We don't even have to talk about this. The second set we don't have to talk about. 7 stocks from Sonics. Simple.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get some more time to chat about this, but the important thing that we need to do right now is head on down to the floor for the trophy presentation sponsored by New Street. Jackie, take us away.
Let's give it up for our champions of Bay State! Oh my gosh, I love the enthusiasm. And right now I'm with Sonics. Tell me the emotions you're feeling. The grand finals you won!
Yeah, I feel really good. We all feel very happy and content with our result. We were nervous though. We're all still a little nervous, but we're really, really happy.
Oh, congratulations. And anything that you want to say to the fans watching at home, your supporters?
Thank you for the support, especially my girlfriend. I know she's watching right now, and she helped me a little bit get back from yesterday after I lost the tournament. So she always has my back. So shout outs to you, Angie. I love you.
Oh my goodness, if that doesn't give you the feels, I do not know what will. But we're about to move into the trophy ceremony. I would like to invite to the stage our presenting partners, Todd, Angela, and Ray. Welcome to the stage. Okay, very exciting. I know that you have a few words for our winners.
Well, amazing match, amazing competition. On behalf of the CECC event producers, Skillshot Media, CSMG, and EsportsU, and on behalf of our CECC presenting partners, Microsoft and CDW, and of course, the Super Smash Bros. Trophy sponsor, New Street, we would like to officially congratulate, based on an epic CECC win, the team from Bay State, and recognize Most Valuable Player, no surprise, Sonics.
Let's give it up for Bay State! Woo! Y'all get in there. Come on, lift that trophy up. All right, let's send it back to the desk. Let them enjoy this.
I love that. I love an I love you to end a match, huh?
That's sweet.
Yeah. It's good vibe. It's good vibe.
Good
Obviously,
vibe,
Jackie, I'm surprised she didn't have more to say to that. If you haven't seen Jackie's socials, it's a good vibe. She's probably in her feels right now. But yeah, really cool stuff to see them. The camaraderie that you see from that roster, I think, is really good. Obviously, Sonics gets a lot of love, but can we talk about Floppe?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To start it off, to bring Steve down to one stock, like.
Absolutely.
This is a guy that we see a bracket reset. You lose that first side, and then you're like, okay, what do we do? Like, how are we going to make these adjustments? Like, what are the changes that we need to have? And to bring a player that we haven't seen on stage yet, to bring in a completely different person and be like, hey, man, you're going to be the guy that opens up for us. We need you to take something. We need you to do a good job. One stock, we were happy. You and I were discussing it. Like, if he takes one against Jake, I think we're doing okay. And then he took two, and then it's like, oh, is it going to take three? Like, it was getting closer and closer. So, yeah, it was pretty surprising to see that out of Floppe, and credit to him, man. He made his mark.
It's worth noting we were talking about how they changed things up as soon as they reset the bracket, because we started out with Anarchy versus Nave, and then we had a totally different match, Floppe versus Jake. And I'm sorry, Blue, I cut you off, but I want to hear why you think they made those decisions and any of your highlights for the match.
I mean, off camera, we were talking about they have such a deep roster. What can they do? You know, we were looking at Sonics, Nexus, Anarchy throughout most of yesterday and today, and then we kept saying, you know, they have the three players that are in the top 6, and one of them's Tony's Pajamas, and we haven't seen Tony Pajamas. I know you love that name. You wanted to. I was hoping, you know, Tony would play so that you get to see the Pajama Man.
Dude, that name is it's so perfect. It really is. Like,
They also have Toxics, though. So they had 2 players that we could have seen, and then they just come out of nowhere with this wild card who hasn't played all weekend. We haven't even talked about them. We didn't have them written down, and then they set the tone. They lost that match, but taking 2 off of Jake there, that was massive for this team, and I think that really set Sonics up beautifully to just finish it all off.
Both of those first matches were extremely close. I mean, I think that our caster said in that round 1, that was the most unfortunate jump I've seen.
Absolutely.
And the interactions between the Wii Fit trainer and Steve made things so surprisingly close and complicated. Do you think that either of those had a chance of shutting down Sonics, as that was one of our keys to victory?
I think that there was a possibility with that being the case, right? I definitely think that there was something that was super, super interesting about that. Like, throughout the tournament it is that we've seen, like, I think Floppy did an absolutely amazing job. And once again, like, here's like the clips again from like the set. This was absolutely insane. He missed the tech, so obviously he goes up for the down tilt. That parry, that was absolutely the most clutch thing ever. That came from a parry off the bottom of the stage into that situation. That is probably the best thing it is that you can ask for. Just essentially back and forth between these 2 players. I think Floppy set them up amazingly for the next bracket reset. And this, icing on the cake, right? Like, absolutely amazing to be able to see that. Like, forcing it out, obviously being a little bit too afraid to move in. This is something it is, I saw him do, like, during, like, the second half of the bracket, which I wasn't too sure about. Like, I assumed that I had absolutely assumed that, like, when he's, like, jabbing him, right, I'm like, okay, you're jabbing him, like you got him, he's gonna roll in, but then he didn't stop jabbing. And then that's when the punish came out, right? And so that's what I think is absolutely, I think that's what's super, super essential about that, is that you need to be able to sort of not only figure out the pacing, but when you have an opportunity like that, because that was like the only opportunity I'd seen him where he had like Sonic's hardcore on the ropes and you know what his option is, but there's no punish or no situation that comes out of that. So I definitely think that both of those players, like, obviously hats off to them. They played amazing throughout the tournament. And of course, to give shots out to Floppy as well.
Yeah.
Like,
This was an excellent set of matches. We had an amazing time watching them. Thank you to both teams for giving us such an awesome grand final. And thank you to Microsoft CDW. Whether your school is looking to start a new esports program, increase support for a current program, or they're ready to take it to the next level, Microsoft and CDW Education are here to help, from building spaces to program alignment and more. If you want to learn more, head over to cdw.com/esports. And now's the perfect time to do it, because we're going to take a little break and we'll be right back with Overwatch.